The time is now 7:01 p.m. I will call this meeting of the Bridgewater Town Council to order. Please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all. Tonight's Town Council meeting is being streamed live via YouTube. Please go to the Town of Bridgewater Facebook page for the link. I do have some veteran condolences this evening. Please join me in recognizing John Gomes Sr., U.S. Marines, Vietnam, passed away on December 30th, 2025. Thank you. I have also William B. Levy, U.S. Army, Korea, passed away on January 14th, 2026. Please join me in a moment of silence for Mr. Levy. Thank you. First off, on item A, we have approval of minutes from previous meetings. Do I have a motion for approval and discussion for our January 6th general public meeting minutes?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? And we do have to do a roll call vote because we do have counselors on Zoom.
Could I just say one quick thing?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if I had it written down. And I don't even know, my husband doesn't think this is important, so it probably isn't. But it says that Kevin Perry wasn't here, and then he came in, and then the next thing says that he was the one who voted for something. So it just looks weird when you read it. I don't know if we can put Kevin Perry came in, right at the.
He wasn't present for the general public meeting, so we have two sets of minutes.
Oh, okay. Which one I wrote it on the one. Yeah, it's the one for January 6th, 7 p.m. It was our town council meeting.
Yeah, he was present for that meeting.
But it says absent, Dr. Kevin Perry.
Oh.
Up here. And then just right after it, it says we voted on something and Kevin Perry voted for it.
Yeah. So we should make an amendment on the next meeting minutes.
Oh, the next set. Okay.
Yeah. So on the first set, the general, that seems accurate, but on the second set, let's make that amendment.
Okay. So
Good catch.
I just thought it might look weird sometime in the future.
Yeah. Good catch. Okay. So on the general public meeting minutes, any further discussion?
No.
Okay. Can we do a roll call, please?
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
And Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. So next up, we will have a approval of minutes from our town council meeting. So I have a motion and a second for discussion.
Motion.
Second.
And a second. And then Councilor Hunt, do you want to make that amendment?
Yes, I'd like to move that we add something after where it says that Kevin Perry was absent, because he was absent, but then he came in quickly before the council.
He wasn't absent.
He was absent for the
He was
first meeting that we
absent.
just voted on.
So I think we should make a motion to amend to add him to present and remove him from absent.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
that's fine then.
I'll second it.
Second. And roll call, please.
Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
And Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay. So now as amended, any further discussion? Okay, so may we do a roll call on that, please?
Mr. Kennedy?
Be a long night.
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
And Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. Okay, announcements from the president is up next from our town clerk. Just a reminder to please submit your census. That helps us greatly. And also please make sure that your dogs are licensed. I think the due date there is at the end of March, so please get those submitted. I submitted mine today, so please, everybody, go ahead and get that submitted. Did you have something, Councilor Lindy?
Yeah, I just wanted to commend the town clerk. She has some nice sandwich board signs downstairs with a graphic for a dog license and a graphic for the census. It just, you know, it's out in front of Town Hall, but it gives added attention so people know it. I posted it on 02324 so people will see it too.
Yeah, it's a great. I think it says paw-abiding citizen. That was pretty funny. So, thank you for that. And then also, you'll notice that we are a little light here. However, this seat over here, which was occupied by Councilor Sonia Striggles, will remain vacant at least for now. Councilor Striggles did unfortunately resign. She'll no longer be serving with us, and she'll be dearly missed. I want to personally thank her for her service to this council and the town, and we will certainly miss her. She recently gave birth to a beautiful daughter, and the priorities at this time lie with her and her new family. So that seat is now vacant, and the council is going to entertain an appointment, and that information will be public here. It's public now, and then we'll be making some posts online through the appropriate channels to notifying residents that if they're interested in being appointed, it's only a short, like 2.5, 3 month term, but it's a great way to get started if it's something that you are interested in doing, because that seat will be open for an election in April. It's the last Saturday in April 24th or 26th, I forget the date exactly. So if it's something that you're interested in, please submit an application and follow the protocols that are going to be listed online, and we'll try to put that on some bulletin boards as well, and maybe have BTV put out a notice. But an application, a letter of your intent and qualifications of why you'd like to serve, and we will love if you joined us up here. So with that,
Could I ask
yes?
a question, Mr. President? So if we have appointed someone, by the time they get on, we'll be in March.
They would, at this time, if we move at the pace that I think we will, the appointment would be for February 17th.
The appointment would be. So in the charter, should we wait and let the residents vote, or because it's so close?
It's up to the council. We're going to have folks apply, and we can talk as a board and see if it's our will to appoint somebody. We are not, the admin code states that we need to repeat the process until somebody is appointed, but because it's so close to an election, we simply may just run out of time, in which it would just make more sense to have the voters vote for somebody.
So should we, instead of having everyone put in and do all that work, should we vote first whether we should have appointments, or?
We're going to put an order on the next council meeting. Councilor Striggles resigned on Friday, and the agenda was already posted, so ideally we would have been able to do that today, at least begin those discussions formally. But we will have that on the agenda for next time. And then we'll also have people apply at the same time. And if we decide to not appoint, then those folks who applied, they should run in April.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
Just to add to that, it's people that live in precincts 1, 2, and 7.
Yes, thank
For
you.
that district.
Yeah, District 1 is precincts 1, 2, and 7. If you're not sure what precinct you're in, then go to the town clerk's page on our website there's a street list, and there's a map there as well. So good point, thank you.
And just on the same point, we did, when we realigned the whole town, let's remember that some councilors served for 4 months, and then they had to run for re-election. So even a short-term appointment for a district seat is important, I personally think.
Yeah, I was appointed in December. My first council meeting was in January, and I enjoyed getting a little bit of a runway into then getting elected and serving. So I appreciated it. Hopefully the board will appoint somebody. Hopefully we get some qualified candidates who are interested in joining us, and we'll continue to have those deliberations. Okay, next up, proclamations. We have none. So we will now move into citizens' open forum. Due to Massachusetts open meeting law requirements, discussions will not take place during public comment periods. If appropriate, responses to questions and concerns will be given by the town manager at a future town council meeting. Anyone may comment at this time for up to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, President Loretti, Vice President McGrath, Town Council, and Town Manager Casanova Davis. Thank you. John Donna, 261 South Street. I just want to comment on a couple items that came up at the last meeting. The town being in a water emergency, as we all know, it was stated that only approved projects are allowed to tie into the water system in Bridgewater in town right now. And to me, that infers that if there wasn't a water emergency, that an unapproved project could tie into the water system. And I just wanted to know, am I just misinterpreting that? Or if there are situations where an unapproved project can tie into the water system. And I know there might be water discussion on the agenda tonight, so if someone could respond to that or provide an example if there is one. Thank you. And the second point I'd like to comment on is another resident spoke in the open forum last week. They were talking about, the planning board, they don't necessarily say whether a project might be able to, it can be or not be approved based on whether the town situation, as long as it meets zoning laws. It sounded like the planning board would have to go along with that. And I just think it was suggested that maybe there needs to be either a commission or a board that does have some teeth that could say, well, yeah, this project meets zoning laws, but given the current situation, that there's 40 kids in a class in BR, and, we were on Fox News a couple months ago for brown water. I know the town manager's acted with urgency to get the deal done with Bridgewater and is helping out in the short term big time. And of course, we're paying at a premium on that. But, we've taken the water situation out of our hands, and we're now relying on other water sources, at least for the time being. So I know Councilor Ellenberg had mentioned bringing back the Sewer and Water Commission. Perhaps it could be incorporated there. They could have some teeth, as it would said, to decide have some say in whether a project can be approved or should be approved or not, even if it means laws. Because frankly, I don't understand how any housing projects are getting approved based on the conditions in this town. For the reasons I just stated, the classroom size, the traffic. So I just hope that can be considered. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street. I just want to talk about the new website. I don't know if anybody else has issues, but I just dawned on me yesterday. I haven't been getting any email notifications about any of the committee meetings. I used to get them, not necessarily in a timely manner, but I was getting them, and it dawned on me I haven't gotten any. So I tried to said, well, maybe with the new system, those who were signed up are no longer signed up to receive email notifications, so I tried. And I couldn't find anything. I just got Public Works and stuff, so I never got notification of tonight's meeting. Even a lot of times it would be right at 7 o'clock I'd get the notification, but I didn't even get that. So I would like if somebody could explain today, tonight, because I can't be the only one, on how to do it. That'd be great, so we don't have to wait 2 more weeks, have it answered tonight. And I went to look for the town charter. Couldn't find the town charter. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I put it in, I get blank. So if that could be explained tonight, that'd be great, because it brings me to the town charter. I was going to say, I still have brought it up. In the town charter, I know we can't have discussions, but you are allowed to answer a question if it's a simple question for clarification during a meeting. It doesn't have to wait till the next meeting with the town manager or whenever it decides to get answered, because some of them don't get answered. So I want to remind you that we still need, again, it's not a discussion, it's a clarification. I always use the example, I want to say that President Loretti's shirt, is that checkered? You should be able to say yes now and not wait for the town manager in 2 weeks to let me know. So it is in the town charter. I need everybody to review that town charter, but I would like to figure out how to find it in this new website. So I'd appreciate it if that could be answered tonight and not 2 weeks from now. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up and speak? Okay, thank you very much. Next, we do not have any appointments, so we will move on to our hearings. First up is Order FY 26-026, laying out and accepting a private way. This is Magnolia Way. This is a public hearing which was advertised in the January 13th, 2026 Enterprise. I will now open up the public hearing at this time, which is 7:17 p.m. And if the petitioner is here, if they would like to speak, please come up.
Good evening. Lee Castagnetti, representing the requesting party, Long-Built Homes, we developed the project. I believe you're aware that the planning board had, after review of the conditions of the road for conformity with your regulations by the DPW and the town engineer, your planning board voted at their recommendation that the roads, they voted favorably that the road should be accepted.
Thank you. So at this time, I'll ask if there's any general questions from the public, if anybody from the public would like to come up and speak. Okay, seeing none. Anyone from the public would like to speak in favor? Seeing none. Anyone from the public like to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Councilors, do we have any questions about this one?
It says that the title to the right-of-way of land area is currently held by the Bridgewater Preserve LLC. Mr. Casanova, do you know what that is? Excuse me, sorry. The right-of-way for Magnolia Way is currently held by Bridgewater Preserve LLC.
That's just the company.
May I answer that question? Yes. Long-Built Homes is the operating company, and we form an LLC as the ownership entity for every one of the different projects that we do. So Bridgewater Preserve LLC was the ownership entity that we created for that project. It's 100% wholly owned subsidiary of Long-Built Homes.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Sure, my pleasure.
A question. Questions. First question being, do you know how many miles or how long Magnolia Way is? About how many feet?
Right off the top of my head, I don't.
Estimate? About? How many homes are on there?
There's 97 homes in the development, in the subdivision.
Yep.
There's two short cul-de-sacs that are on the agenda coming up next, Hemlock and Sycamore. And neither of those, I would say, is much more than 100 feet. So I would say the road's probably in the vicinity of 2,000
Who currently
1,000
maintains those roads?
linear feet. We do.
For snowing, plow,
We do.
repairs? To the town attorney, if I could? If this is not accepted, does that just remain with the LLC?
Yes.
When was the road paved last?
I think in around 2000,
Into the year 2000?
around 2000.
So, at least to our town manager, so if we take over this public way and we realize that the road needs to be repaved in a couple of years, then we're gonna have to add that to our street list of roads that need to be paved.
Correct, if that would be the case, yes.
And if we're,
It wouldn't be a couple of years.
Yeah,
Your
I mean, there's.
your longevity on that
from our
Pavement is-
DPW team, but also, Bob, you want to just directly address that? But, yeah, but if a town accepts a private way, becomes a public way, then yes, we have to maintain it.
Assuming
The
liability.
town engineer reviews these plans and establishes an amount to be put into a bond for any upcoming maintenance or required maintenance. So to take the obligation off the town, I mean, the developer is putting up that money, that funding
And how long is that good for?
in perpetuity.
Okay.
And one thing in addition to all these several sort of street acceptances in the packet, for example, there's, on this one, it's on page 28, for example, there's usually some communication with DPW and the entity to do some of this work, some of the work that's required, whether it's drainage basins, clean drainage basins, mowing, or different things like that. So our DPW team does interact with, with these parties before we accept the road. So,
They actually generated a punch list for us to perform the various work before they would vote favorably, and that was a prelude to the favorable vote by the planning board.
Do we have an estimate of how much more money we receive in Chapter 90 funds by accepting a road of this length?
no, I can't provide that right now. We can try to give you a general set of basically what we've received maybe on roads that we've accepted in the past, to give you a general frame. Obviously, that's depending on funding as well, but we could give you some sort of information regarding that if you're interested in it.
Okay.
But no estimate for it right now.
May I ask a question?
Yes?
How much is the developer's bond for?
This is 3-something. Do you have that? Yeah. We don't have that in front of us right now. Counselor Ellenberg, let me follow up with that.
Yes, please follow up.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Sean.
A couple of things. With specifically Magnolia Way, it is in this area at least, it's a little bit of a longer road. One of the topics that was brought up from two citizens to myself was bus traffic for children. The children need to be brought to the end of the road because the buses do not travel down this particular road. That was something that was brought up by two people. From looking at the map, I could understand the concern there, having to bring your children out to Cherry Street, which is a very busy road, with a large group of kids there. On the other side, I did see some of the prep site work that was done and reviewed. I just had a question. Are we taking over also any of the storm drain issues? Not that there are issues, but there needed to be some maintenance and some cleaning. Does that fall on the town as well?
The town accepts, well, one, the town accepts some monetary contributions for the drainage cleaning. Can follow up with the zoo to give you some more information about that. That's also dependent on each road. But it really is depending on the road. Previously, the town did accept drainage, took ownership of drainage material. Lately, we've tried to navigate that and not do that because there's a significant expense related to that.
Councilor Kennedy, can you just, the comment about the school bus, can you just say that one more time? What were you trying to convey, or what was the citizen trying to convey?
What they were trying to convey was that it's I guess there's a large group of children that live in that area on that road, and because the school buses don't go down that road because it's a private way, they pick their children up on Cherry Street, which is busy, and there tends to be either a large group of children. So some conveyed inconvenience, some conveyed safety. That was kind of the gist of the conversations.
Essentially, the buses won't enter onto these streets because they're private ways right now.
Another question for our town manager. So obviously this has been well vetted through the departments and the planning board, but has anybody done a cost benefit analysis of the town accepting of the roads? I don't know if that's typical, because what we're looking at here is, quite quite a large road, and are we, prepared to, assume all of that maintenance? Is it something that's going to be beneficial to the town to take on more roads when we have a hard time managing the roads that we have now?
So that isn't something that's typically done. I think what we navigate is obviously when you accept more additional roadway mileage is accounted in your Chapter 90 formula. I think we all obviously know that Chapter 90, we're obviously advocating for more funding via Chapter 90. But in terms of in-depth cost and depth analysis, I don't believe Bridgewater's done that in the past. I don't know any community that really does that, but.
Okay.
I have one more thing too. Kennedy's question. It says that the planning board must hold $10,000 for maintenance of the stormwater management system infrastructure. So we have money for it.
Okay. Any more questions, councilors?
Is that sufficient money? I mean, I don't know the expense of these, maintenance of these things. Is that sufficient? I have no idea.
Our DPW team does believe it's sufficient. That's why we have this process. This is not something that every community does. This is what we do in Bridgewater to try to manage those expenses. Once again, we can have the DPW director talk about that a little bit further for you all if you're interested in that. But we think it's sufficient.
Okay. Anything further, councilors? Okay. So the time is now 7:27. I will close the public hearing, and I'll ask my councilors if anybody would like to make a motion on this order.
I'll make a motion to continue, right? Is that what I heard? The DPW director is going to provide more information?
Yeah, is there a second on that?
Second.
A second? Yeah, so we could have a discussion on that. I personally would like to hear from our DPW director. I would love for the town to accept the road, but I'd like to hear a little more information before we make that commitment. So I would be in favor of continuing, but any other comments from our councilors?
Yeah, I think it's sufficient. I mean, if the DPW and the planning board approved of it, I'm good with it. I know they won't go out and look at it because I've watched the planning board. So I knew these were coming up, and they do go out. And Shane, they have a checklist, and Shane always says, if you have questions, contact him. So I feel like they've thoroughly vetted it.
Okay.
So I'm okay with accepting it.
I just have a question about the kids walking down the street. I'm not sure where that enters in to any part of this. I live on a street. I had 4 children. I live at the end of the street. My children had to walk out to the main street to catch their school bus every time they went on the school bus, and so did all the other kids from the street, and so do they still now. So I'm not really sure what that has to do with whether or not we want to accept this road.
Councilor Kennedy, can you elaborate on the feedback that you received from the resident?
Yeah, sure. All I'm doing is sharing the feedback with the councilors based on what residents mentioned to me. That's the sole purpose of that. It's not to sway anything one way or another. It's the only feedback that I received on this was the school buses entering into that neighborhood.
I think not to belabor the point, but to try to be helpful regarding this, anything transportation related, sort of setting the bus, et cetera, you probably would want to talk with the school district about that. They set up, the bus transportation. Planning, I don't know if they didn't go down the road, particularly because it was a private way. I don't know because if it's a public way, I don't know that. That would be a decision with the school district. They handle the transportation aspect. Councilor Kennedy.
I would say it could possibly be if it's a dead-end road, because I live at a dead-end road, so there's no way for the school bus to turn around. At least I presume that's why they never came down our street. And I don't know what this road does.
This is not a dead end.
It's not a
There
dead
are
end?
two separate means of ingress
So
and
the
egress.
bus could come down and keep going on around
Can.
and pick up the kids as it goes?
Yes.
Okay. Anything further?
Just one quick question, I guess, for the town manager. When we vote to accept the private way, does it immediately become ours, or is there a grace period?
That one I don't know. I think that's something that we'll have to follow up on. That one I don't know right away.
What was the question? I was looking at another. Go ahead.
When we vote to accept the private way, is that an immediate acceptance, or is there a grace period? Do you know?
There's no grace period, but there's a time period in which, one, your actions become effective, right, under our own rules. And then there's a certain amount of time in which we have to record the taking, which is an additional 30 days. So there is some period, I wouldn't say it's a grace period, because once you've approved it, you've kind of approved it. The grace period really goes to the logistics of the recording of the document. Usually the way it works, just in practicality, is once you've allowed it, we'll go to record with it, even though it may not become effective until a certain date in the future. It's important for us to record it as a taking within a certain amount of time. So we may even record it at the Registry of Deeds prior to that date, and then it will become effective on that date under our own charter. But it's usually around 30 days, just so you know.
Thank you.
For both things.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything further from councilors? Okay, so the motion on the table is to continue to our next meeting. So can we take the roll call, please?
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes,
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next one here, Order FY 26-027, laying out and accepting a private way. This is for Hickory Lane. This was advertised in the January 13th, 2026 Enterprise. I will now open the public hearing. It is 7:32 p.m. And petitioner, again, so I'm assuming this is a similar situation, but if you wanted to speak specifically to Hickory Lane.
Really no different, the exact same scenario as Magnolia and Hemlock.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and
Sycamore, yes.
Sycamore, yeah.
Great. Are there any general questions from the public? Seeing none. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak in favor?
The paving's been done.
You could come up.
Steph D'Amelia, Harvest Lane. That project I followed along with for whatever reason. The binder was down, but the finished pavement wasn't 20 years ago. The binder goes down on a project like this, so heavy equipment can go back and forth if by chance there's some spots that need touching up. So this project, the finished stuff is much newer than 20 years ago. I don't want you to think that, they paved the road and then built all the houses. That's not how it happened. And the same with Hickory Lane, Sycamore. Those are much newer. So there shouldn't be much maintenance to do on those particular roads.
Yeah, that's helpful because when I hear, that the road was paved 26 years ago and then houses were built since then, it makes you think, does it need to be paved again?
That's not how it was.
Got
That's
it.
not how it went.
Thank you.
Excuse me if I could interject for a moment. Where did this 26-year period come from?
You said it was paved in 2000.
2020.
Oh, you said 2020.
Said 2000.
I apologize. I misspoke. Did I? I sincerely apologize.
Okay.
We purchased the subdivision in 2015. The houses were built over a period between 2015 and 2020. And then upon completion of construction of the homes, we installed the finished course pavement on the road. And that was somewhere between 2020 and 2021.
Well, that changes a lot of things.
I apologize sincerely for my
I was like,
previous...
26 years is a long time ago. Okay, well, thank you for that clarification. Anyone from the public like to speak in opposition?
Thank you.
And councilors, any questions specifically on Hickory Lane here?
Yes, just a quick comment. It just came up previously in a comment, but it does say in the letter from the planning board that they are holding $337,242 currently. And then it says, if the board chooses to release this funds, it must withhold $10,000 maintenance for the stormwater management system.
Okay.
So the dollar amount is there in the letters.
The first number was the bond, the surety bond.
It just says currently the planning board is holding $337,242. So I don't know.
That is the bond. That's the surety bond.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any more questions, councilors? Okay, so I'll close the hearing. It is 7:36 p.m. So considering this is similar to the previous order, do we want to make a similar motion? Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to continue it.
Okay. Do we have a
for the next
second?
meeting.
Second?
Second. Any discussion on continuing? Knowing now that it's not a 26-year-old road and it's newer than that changes my opinion a little bit on this, but to be consistent, we should probably just continue these to the next meeting, and then we could get those all approved if everything comes back from DPW, which it should come back good. Any further comments? Okay, can we do a roll call, please?
Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
And Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, and next one here, we have Order FY 26-028, laying out and accepting a private way. This is for Sycamore Lane. This was advertised in the January 13th, 2026 Enterprise. I will now open up the hearing at 7:37 p.m. And petitioner, anything on this one particularly? All right.
Nothing new.
Nothing new, great. Any general questions from the public?
Eric Christensen, 214 South Drive. I was just looking on the map, and Magnolia Way looks like a mile long, and Sycamore and Hickory are both off of it as cul-de-sacs. I just wanted to enter that in the discussion.
Great, thank you. That's
Yep,
definitely helpful.
that was it.
Thank you. And would anyone else from the public then make a general comment? Would anyone like to speak in favor? Seeing none, would anybody like to speak in opposition? And seeing none. Councilors, we've spoke about the last two, but any further questions on this one?
I have one more, if I could just.
All right, you got it.
The information in the packet does also include a 7-list item of what our DPW director had asked that those 7 items be addressed. I believe he came out, it looks like, on August 15th of 2025. There are some notes in here on his 7 punch list items, but it doesn't say that there have been completed.
Okay. They have been, and it was re-inspected by the town engineer.
Do you know when they re-inspected it? We just don't have any information about a re-inspection or follow-up on that either.
I don't, but it was,
Shortly thereafter.
it's been a while.
Might be a good question for a Zoom.
Yeah, that could be a good question next time.
There were a
Hopefully we
couple,
can
there were a
just-
couple of minor repairs that were infrared repaired in the pavement. And they were actually very minor, and the rest of them related to maintenance of the drainage facilities,
Yeah.
which was completed.
Great. Yeah, we could just clear that up next meeting and hopefully get that approved. Okay, so any other questions, councilors? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the hearing. It is now 7:39 p.m. And would anybody like to make a motion to continue this to our next meeting as well?
Okay, yep, I will.
Motion and a second?
Second?
Second. Great. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes,
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, great. So we'll take these up at our next meeting.
And so for clarification on the continuance and for your next meeting, essentially, what are you looking for to not continue this further and to actually get a vote? Is it strictly the DPW's input?
Yeah, just the DPW director's input, and I'd personally like to see just some clarifying answers on some of the financials of taking over the road, the length, and then a couple other questions were up on like the punch list, and that would be it.
Which would be the DPW would answer the questions on the punch list.
Yeah, and we could circulate an email if that's appropriate as well, just so that we get this done for you next time.
Great, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, have a good evening.
Okay, next up, we have petition P 2026-01, granting of the Class 2 used auto dealer's license. This is for Vivo at 560 Bedford Street. This public hearing was advertised in the January 9th, 2026 Enterprise. I'll now open the public hearing at 7:40 p.m. Is the petitioner present would like to speak?
I'm fine with speaking. I'm just say that it's going to be a pleasure to have a business here on the town. So yeah, it's that.
All right, thank you. Are there any general questions from the public?
Do we have his name for the record?
Oh, yeah, what's your name for the record, sir?
Tiago Pimenta.
Thank you.
Could you spell it?
H-I-A-G-O.
I have it.
I think our council clerk
Our
has it.
council clerk has it. Thank you.
Making sure, just to be.
Would anyone from the public like to speak in favor? Seeing none. Would anyone like from the public to speak in opposition? Seeing none. And councilors, do you have any questions for the petitioner? You can come up, sir.
Well, not for the petitioner
Okay.
specifically, but through you to the town manager. Is
Sure.
everything in order for this?
Everything is in order for this. They've met all the requirements. Yeah,
Thank you.
approve on her.
Great. Any further questions, councilors?
I
Okay.
have one, just to clarify.
Yeah.
Are there any increases in the vehicles that were on the lot previously to the new business?
No, it's
Thank you.
Anything further? Okay, seeing none, I will close the hearing. It is now 7:42 PM, and I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the Class 2 used auto dealer's license.
I'll
Great.
second it.
And a second. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's do a roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
And Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
I'll send out the,
Okay, we do not have any licensed transactions or presentations tonight. We'll now move on to our town manager's report. We have
Alright.
fire station department update, sorry, fire department update first,
Do
and then
fire
fire
department
station.
update first. I'm going to invite Chief Slats. No, Deputy Chief Grafton is here as well. I want to acknowledge that. But just give you a quick update on where we're at in terms of the fire department. As the council's aware and the community, we obviously passed an order to increase our minimum manning. I think Chief can talk about that, but also demand right now.
Thank you. I just want to clarify a recent operational change that we had recently. So back in September,
The mic's not on, chief. Just hit the button. There you go.
oh, thank you. Sorry about that. So again, just clarifying some operational changes we had in the past. Back in September, we stopped operating our third ambulance. And reasons for that is gives us the ability to maintain coverage and safety throughout the town 24/7. There's no reduction in services. So in the past, as I've educated everybody here before, how we operate the third ambulance, just to remind everybody. So each station has an engine and ambulance on each side of town. So when both primary ambulances are out, depending on what side of town that third medical comes in, the engine crew will cross-staff our third ambulance. So our third ambulance will go on that medical, transport that patient, and then when that patient's transported, we only have one person left on that engine. So when they return to that station, there is, that engine's out of service, that station cannot respond to another call, so that side of town has no coverage. So at that point, we rely on recall. We will call personnel in to cover that station. So when we do our recall, we recall a group, and depending on how many people respond and come in, it's usually a 10 to 15-minute response time before they show up at the station. Sometimes we don't get anybody, and we have to call another group. So that will push it back to 25 to 30 minutes possibly. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens. But due to this, so what the change is, now we operate both our engines on both sides of town are ALS engines, which means they're supplied with all the advanced life support equipment as our ambulance does. So we have the ability to do patient care with our engines same way as we would with our ambulance. So now when that third medical comes in, our engines will go to that medical. We'll call a mutual aid ambulance. So when our engine gets to that medical, we'll provide all the advanced life support care. We can do oxygen therapy, respiratory medications, EKG monitoring, IV therapy. trauma care. We can do all the same ability that ambulance does. So our guys will treat the patient, package the patient, the mutual aid ambulance will come, transport that patient. So when they do that, now that engine remains in service, that station stays staffed, and we now have the ability to provide fire and EMS protection on that side of town. So this ensures continuous town-wide coverage. No stations are empty, no unnecessary recall delays, and a reduction in overtime costs. So with that said, it doesn't eliminate our 30 ambulance. We still have the opportunity to, our officer on that engine, if we have a priority call or a critical call, at that time, we can still take that 3rd ambulance. So if we get a serious call, like a pedestrian getting hit by a car or whatever, so instead of doing the mutual aid ambulance, we will strip that engine for that priority 1 call and respond to that call. So just to clarify, because people have been seeing a lot of mutual aid out-of-town ambulances in town, and that's the reason why.
I have a question. When mutual aid comes in, I'm assuming we're not billing now for that that care beyond that point. So is that loss of revenue, worth looking into? Like, does the cost analysis, make sense to make sure that we have the proper staff so that we're able to take care of that patient, so that we could bill for that? I don't know if that's something that we've even thought of.
Well, as a department leader, I don't look at the cost. I look at the coverage for the town.
Mm-hmm.
And for when this happens now, we have to recall people at time and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a wash.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anybody have anything? No?
And just an update on the 11th man. So now we have, both our engines are staffed with 3 men. So we, very efficient, very aggressive. We can perform all our duties, and I appreciate that.
Great.
I think one thing, while we also have Chief Slats, we have had a pretty significant amount of calls during this period of time. Obviously, as we progress through the budget period, I know the chief has advocated for more support because of those calls, and we'll obviously talk about it, but we can present some information about those calls as we come forward. But they have been pretty significant, I think, these past few weeks, Chief.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next update might be Bob's last fire station update, potentially. Yeah, there you go.
Good evening. I think all of you have got a notice that there is a ribbon cutting and open house at the fire station a week from this coming Saturday, the 30th. Mm-hmm. They've been in and operating now for 2.5 weeks. They haven't called me, so that's good. So I think, again, if you haven't had an opportunity to be there, you'll be impressed. Right now, Lori and I and Ashley are just reconciling all the outstanding invoices. So I probably will come up at the next meeting just to give you kind of where we think we are in terms of what was left in terms of contingency.
Great. Any questions? All right, awesome.
Next item is a real quick reverse 911 notification update. I know there was several counselors asked me about this question about reverse 911, the Plymouth County Sheriff's System. I have Scott Howell who can just briefly talk about that process and how we're involved. But I do want to highlight this is the Plymouth County Sheriff Association reverse 911. The Town of Bridgewater doesn't have a specific reverse 911 call. So Scott, Lieutenant Heil can just briefly talk about that, and obviously if you have any questions. Also, they did do a review of the reverse 911 information from the Sheriff's Association, and we have released that information to the public with Guilfoyle. And I think Lieutenant Heil was instrumental in that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I appreciate letting me be here to help explain this. So the Plymouth County Sheriff's Department has a system. It was formerly known as Code Red. Since that system was compromised, they switched a week ago Friday to a system called Smart 911. A lot of the information, as the town manager mentioned, it has been on the websites as well as social media and how to sign up. Home numbers are automatically entered into it, and it's just the cell phones that have to be registered if you want information. We usually reserve this just for emergency situations. We did helpfully, last weekend, we wanted to put something out there in regards to the water. We were asked and we complied just for the information, which we typically don't do. I know we did ask them to put something out, and on Sunday morning, it was Saturday night, Sunday morning, they said they were having some logistical issues in getting it out, so they said they would do it Monday morning when they came in, which they were able to comply with as promised. It is a fairly easy process to register a phone. I did try it myself with my cell phone, and they send you a text right away to acknowledge it. And you can also register for Bristol County updates as well, not just Plymouth County. It is a good system as of now, and it has been utilized in the past. It just switched what type of system. Instead of Code Red, it is Smart 911 now.
Thank you. Sure.
Just have a question, I guess, for the town manager. Is there a cost to Bridgewater to utilize that system or be a part of that system?
Sorry, Hal probably doesn't know.
No, it's through the Plymouth County Sheriff's Department. So they've actually incurred the costs for the Sheriff's Department, but it doesn't cost us. We put a request into them to send it out, and they usually comply. Obviously, it is their system to work with. It's nothing we do other than contact the person who does it at the Sheriff's Department, but they're the ones who took on the cost.
Excellent. And then, just a follow up to that, you had mentioned, I think we put the information out through Guilfoyle. Is that what you had mentioned?
Yes, it's on the social media of the Bridgewater Police Department.
That information is how to sign up for that?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're sharing that information to folks.
Again, your home number, if anyone has a house number anymore, that is automatically in the database. That does automatically go to it. It's just other phone numbers you want registered to you have to go online and do it.
Any other questions? I don't know if we can anticipate. Are we going to have to use that system in the spring in regards to removing the emergency connection or anything with the treatment trailers that are coming up? I'm just curious if we're going to be rolling this out again, because the lieutenant said that we don't typically use it for these types of things, but we made an exception this time around. So do we anticipate doing that?
That's the key part. Typically, this is their system. Typically, we haven't utilized that system for that. Obviously, and we want to sort of communicate, particularly when there's a large disturbance or expected discoloration of water. But we have to obviously work in collaboration with the Plymouth County group. If there's concern regarding that, we'll do our best, at least on our town Facebook, our town websites, and relevant departmental pages. So we'll do that. It is their system. There's usually concern about what messages go out.
Okay.
Just another quick follow-up. Do we know statistically how many people from Bridgewater are signed up for that? Is there a way we could get a number total?
I would have to check on if we know overall. Whoever registered for Code Red, we were informed it did not carry over to Smart 911. And again, this just went in, so it was Friday, was a week. So we got told it was official a week ago Friday from the Plymouth County Sheriff's Department, and we were also told at that point that you would have to re-register. So I would have to follow up with them to see if it's something we could find out, but I do not know that offhand.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it might be helpful to just know how many people we're reaching if this is the method we're going to share this vital information through.
Cool. Anything further, councilors? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next item is Route 104 study update. I'll have Bob give information regarding that.
So similar to a couple years ago, Old Colony Planning Council did a Route 18 corridor study. They've just completed a Route 104 corridor study from Rainham to Halifax. Debbie will send that out to you tomorrow. They rate every intersection. They look at the number of accidents, the time. It's very helpful for us in terms of working with police, public works, fire, just to understand, what is happening. I mean, we all anecdotally think traffic is always bad. This helps us explain why it's bad. So if anyone has questions, they can reach out to our office, but it's a very thorough report, and we're grateful to OCPC for, doing that work for us.
Just to follow up, this is the study that began, was it over the summer?
Yeah, we had a public meeting here in the summer. Unfortunately, I just want to add that Ray Garano, who worked for OCPC, was at that meeting. Several days after that, suddenly passed away. He was both on the Route 18 study and this study was very helpful to us. So that was a big loss for OCPC and for us.
Yeah, it was a lot of good information in there, so, I mean, if folks are looking for good information to follow up on, they did a great job with that.
Yeah, they did. Any questions? No? Thank you.
All right, and then we'll have Superintendent Young provide a brief water update.
Good evening to the council. The tanks are filling. The system pressure should start to rise over the next couple of days and weeks as we continue to fill those tanks. The Middleborough interconnection, Bridgewater interconnection is fully online. Water department staff are checking it daily for operational and to make sure that we're receiving the flow at all times. To date, we have received just over 2 million gallons of water. We're doing about between 200 and 250,000 gallons a day. We're hoping that that will start to slow down a little bit as the tanks fill and the pressure starts to build. The interim treatment trailer or systems, the water department is continuing to collaborate with Apex on the interim treatment systems to hopefully as well include PFAS in those. Right now, we are reviewing the water quality and engineering plans on how it will integrate with those wells. Right now, we are currently going through site prep and things like that to get the site ready for the potential trailers that are equipment that is coming in. One operational note, over the next couple weeks, the staff will hopefully be getting out to do hydrant flushing. This is something that is obviously not ideal this time of year. But it is important to maintain the water system. It will obviously be weather dependent on weather conditions and road conditions as well. We will notify the public of where we're flushing in the areas and how long we expect to be flushing in those areas. So it's just a matter of actually moving water again in the system for us to better determine how much water we actually need to move to clear those water mains. That's all I have.
Bill, you glossed over something pretty exciting. You said that we may be able to filter out PFAS with these treatment trailers?
Yes, that is something that we were collaborating with DEP and the engineers is right now with 10B being offline, we are closer to being under that 20 nanograms per liter threshold for reporting. So the PFAS in those wells is high. So if we have the opportunity to include PFAS in treatment in those systems, we want to be able to do so.
And from my understanding, the water is going to be filtered from the wells through the treatment trailers, and they will go directly into the system. So if it were, I don't know what numbers you guys are anticipating, but if it's possible to have a non-detect level of PFAS going into the system, if the system is at 18, 19, it will stay below the threshold town-wide.
Yep.
So that's pretty exciting.
Very.
Hopefully that works out.
So kind of a general question for both Mr. Young and for our town manager. Is there a way we can inform people in different ways? What I mean by that is you can read it on a website, you can look at notes and stuff like that, but is there any way to utilize our cable television station, Facebook Live, something like that to communicate to the public? Because I get lots of questions, and I'm certainly not qualified to answer those questions. I'm not an engineer. I don't have your background. Is there any way we could utilize other means?
I'll take that one. So yes, I think we have done some of those things. I'll tell you some of the things that we've done and some of the things that we've talked about and taken a look at. So obviously we've had go on podcasts and talk about this. We use BCTV to have a presentation with Jabbar regarding some of the work that we're doing there. For example, we've had, town manager series. I brought Bill with me to address water infrastructure issues, for example. And in my operational update for this past month, I mentioned that we're going to have a specific water forum that I would love to do, and obviously have collaboration on there, allow some dialogue with residents and us. That's something we want to do in the future. In addition to that, I've talked with Guilfoyle about putting some videos together, putting some videos together about our water system, understanding treatment, distribution, talk about some of the work that we're doing. Obviously, that's dependent on bandwidth too. We're trying to focus on addressing this issue right now, but that is something that I've talked with Guilfoyle about doing in collaboration with our water team. I think it's important. So, obviously, if there's other ideas on how to communicate differently, we're all ears, but that's the work that we've done, and that's some of the work that we're looking to do.
Thank you.
Councilor Murphy, did you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if there was an update. You kind of mentioned, I think we're doing water testing at those wells, 10A, and say water quality.
Yeah, we're required to by DEP if it is in active status.
And I know we had talked about alternative water sources, and Mr. Andrews has been here. We've talked about Brockton, Taunton at one point. Are there any updates on maybe alternative water sources, or where conversations lie with that piece?
We have, obviously, Mr. Andrews. We're waiting on his team to give us some information. We've collaborated, we've talked. As we get information from them, we will obviously take a look at that. Our team has to take a look at the engineering. We'll probably go to DEP. But as we get that information, we'll share that with you. We did have a productive conversation with Brockton in terms of the desal plant and opportunities there. In regards to Taunton, I think I've brought this up before previously, that isn't something that is going to move forward. But as we get more information, we'll share that. But at least on the Brockton discussion regarding the desal plant, because I know there's been a question about Brockton water, et cetera. You know, the desal plant's in Dayton. It's PFAS-free water. So, you know, once again, they indicated some interest in collaborating with us. We'll have some further dialogue with them, get some more information, and share that along with the council.
I have one, Johnny.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Young, when we talked about interconnection before, we talked about that other towns may use different chemicals than we use.
Yes.
So does the Middleborough comparable with us, how they treat you?
That's one of the reasons we first looked at the interconnection with Middleborough is being a former operator in Middleborough, I understood that they did have similar water qualities and similar chemical treatments. That is a big thing in the water treatment industry, is making sure that the water qualities match if you are going to go in an interconnection route.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Just two more quick updates, and for either of you. Bridgewater, we're still under an emergency water declaration. How long does that last? What does that look like?
Under the declaration of water emergency, I will not be able to lift that order until the interconnection is no longer active. We need to be relying on our own system in order for us not to be in an emergency status.
And we still have an active water ban.
Yes.
Separate from that, just within our town.
Yes.
Is that a permanent thing, or what does that look like in terms of time frame?
That's something that we are considering with new regulations and everything. That's going to be dependent on what we actually deem we can pump out of the ground and actually treat properly.
Also, I think it's largely dependent on water conditions too,
Yeah.
right? In terms of water ban and questions regarding that.
Droughts.
You know, drought, et cetera. There's a lot of things that factor in there. So in regards to will this be permanent or not, you can't say that at the moment, but, you know, obviously we look at that based on the situation that's presented to us.
Yeah. Can I just ask, maybe I'm overstepping here, so Jason's probably listening at this point, but I'm just curious, because I feel like over the past 6 months that you've been here, we've been able to accomplish or identify what seems like an every other week kind of issue with the system, right? Being sarcastic somewhat there, but prior to you being here, I had known for the 2 years I was on the council that water was a concern or an issue, and it was a constant conversation that we've had. Do we have any idea has the system gotten worse over the 6 months that you've been here, or why didn't we address this previously in conversations that you've had with other members in DEP?
I want to be careful with that one. I guess my response to that would be, I obviously can't speak to why some decisions weren't made previously. Obviously focus on what we've done during this time. You know, we obviously saw what the system was, particularly when we had to turn to well 10B on in September. Said, I don't want to be in that situation before. I want to look at it a fresh lens. What can we do differently? I don't know what the decisions were previously. What can we do differently? So that's what we focused on. That's what I told my team to do. I had some ideas. Obviously, you know, we hired a new water superintendent. They had new ideas. So we looked at those new ideas. The water interconnection, the interim treatment trailer. You know, these are things looking differently. I can't speak to why some decisions were made. They might have been economic. There's a wide variety of things. I don't want to hypothesize or give conjecture on that. I don't necessarily know that it's, yeah, I think that's as much as I'm going to say there. You know, obviously, when you're in a situation, as more information is presented to you, you have to adjust and address that situation as it develops.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you because I think over this past 6 months, you've been very communicative on this topic. And for the 2 years that I was on the council prior to that, it was not as open, or we did not have as open conversations about it. So I appreciate your openness, although I imagine every time you see something related to water, it's a difficult conversation to have. But I think we're making progress. Maybe it's not fast enough for some folks, but I do want to acknowledge that because I think that's, as somebody who's been on the council for almost 3 years, that's just something I've noticed in the last 6 months. And it was something we highlighted during your interview process as a major issue for this town. So again, thank you for that. And thank you, Bill, for the work that you've done since you've been here.
Thank you.
I know it's not an easy task, but I appreciate you both pushing this and moving this along.
Appreciate it. And I also just want to reiterate that my team has been absolutely tremendous in the work that has been going on in these past 3 months. They are dedicated professionals, and I can't thank them enough for the work that they have done as well. It's not just Justin and I or a zoo. It takes a team to get things like this done, and we have a pretty good one.
Thank you.
Bill said exactly what I was going to say. Obviously, there's a lot of work still to be done, and we're not taking our eye off of that ball. So a lot of work still needs to be done. We're focusing on it. I've committed to doing that, and we'll continue to try to move this forward as best as possible, and obviously collaborate with you all. One thing that's important, and I think we'll probably address it as in part of the resident questions. Obviously, we're looking at short-term, intermediate, and I've mentioned it before, long-term as well. Because as I said, sometimes we tend to be reactive. How can we look long-term? We've had conversations with the federal for EPA regarding opportunities for loan programs to move forward with PFAS, even potentially sooner than what was initially planned. We've had a meeting with Senator Markey's team to advocate for federal earmarks. Obviously, we've collaborated with our state partners. We're looking at it, not only addressing this issue now, intermediate, but long-term as well. We're really focused on this one.
Bill, before you go, I've got a couple of quick ones. You mentioned that we're taking in about 200 to 250,000 gallons per day. The initial agreement has us up to what, 500?
No, I believe this one is 250,000.
Oh, it was 250,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we're in constant communications with Middleborough to determine if we can accept more, if we can accept more. It also is based off of hydraulic grade line right now. So it's about system pressure and tank level.
Cool. Yeah, I was just thinking from a cost estimate standpoint, if we're kind of going to meet the projection for the total cost, because it was costly.
Yeah.
You mentioned hydrant flushing. Should residents expect some discoloration during that period?
Yes.
Okay. And then finally, we have 90 days with the Middleborough connection. Do we anticipate that the treatment trailers are still on pace to be completed before the 90 days?
We're doing everything we can in collaboration with Apex and our engineers. This is a very unique, we've looked at, obviously, PFAS, iron, magnesium. Remember, we mentioned before, these trailers typically are for PFAS. So looking at iron, magnesium, it's a lot of work in regard to their site and so forth. We not only said, hey, we want this in place, not 90 days when the Middleborough's up, as soon as possible. We want to make sure it works, make sure it's effective, make sure it's doing what we hope for. So the Apex knows that. We have pretty much weekly conversations regarding this, weekly updates regarding it, doing everything to make sure that it's live and ready to go as we transition.
Thank you.
I'm not sure who to ask the question to, but do we have any idea when we will know more about the Dighton desalinization? And are we dealing directly with Brockton or directly with the company?
Yeah, I think we've had discussions with Brockton. I think this is pretty public information, actually, so I don't mind sharing this. Brockton is very committed in terms of their stance in acquiring that plant. So if they acquire that plant, then we would be operating directly with Brockton, assuming that they acquire the plant.
They've been trying to acquire the plant for the last 20-plus years.
Yeah, and I think, this is a little bit of points, but also a question. Our current permit is what, 1.98 million gallons per day?
Yes.
And if we connect to the Dighton water source, what can we pull from them? Is it up to like 1 million gallons a day or something like that? Do we know?
So initially, we've had a discussion about up to 1 million gallons.
Yeah.
So we could then increase capacity theoretically up to 2.98, assuming our system is operating at full capacity, because that doesn't count against our withdrawal. So we could now have even more water than we would if we were pumping our own.
That's something that I'd have to follow up with DEP.
Oh, is that right?
There's withdrawal limits within every basin. Obviously, with desal water, there's different parameters where there could be, but that's something that we can get back to you on.
Cool. Yeah, because to be potentially the position to have access water at some point is something that would be great. So, okay.
I have one
Anything else?
more.
Yeah.
Mr. Casanova Davis, the reason we would be buying water like from the aquifer and all that is to give us time to decide whether we want to build more water treatment plants and stuff. It's not a permanent thing, right? It's just to give us a chance to fix our problems.
Which one are you referencing, Middleborough or Brockton or?
Brockton or whichever one there.
It potentially could be either one of them. And what I want to reiterate is my commitment to the council and obviously the community. I think we're going to have a variety of options, obviously, right? And I committed that we were going to look at every option. For example, Mr. Andrews, that water source needed information. Get that information, vet it with our team, et cetera, but present that information, give it to you. What are the costs? What are timelines, et cetera? We have the Vernon Street wells that we have potentially here. What is the timeline? What are the costs? What are the opportunities? Same thing with Brockton, for example. For us, just to provide a little bit of protection, I've looked at short-term agreements with them, where they're more than willing to do, but obviously the long-term aspect of it as well. And so provide that information, give you timelines, information, et cetera. I think this is a decision that, there needs to be collaboration on, but you need to have all the information presented to you. So that's what I'm committed to doing. Let's gather all the information, do the due diligence that's required, present it to you, and then we can make determinations about the long-term view of this.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Can I
Mr.
follow up on
President.
that, just because you said it, when would you have that information? When ideally would you present that to the council?
Some of it is dependent on, getting information, from similar sources. Obviously, we had a conversation in Brockton. They need to send over a water agreement, etc. We need to take a look at that. Obviously, if we're talking Mr. Andrews' group, they've got to present information. I don't want to give a timeline on something that I don't really control, obviously. But as soon as we get the information, we'll want to share it with you all.
Okay.
And have a recommendation. I think that's a key part of this too, right?
Yeah.
I think it's not only just giving information and leaving it out there. We want to vet it. We want to give some information, give some clarity or a recommendation on direction as well.
Okay, great. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I just had a question for
sorry.
Mr.
You got
Young.
it.
Sorry. Mr. Young, this kind of piggybacks off of Councilor Murphy's comments about water bans. I'm looking at the timeline. If things work out well and we're late April of getting those wells back online, the town does, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but this has come up at council meetings in the past. The town does have an imposed water restriction by the state during the summer months. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so even with all this online, because a lot of residents will be watching this, we will have the same regularly scheduled water restrictions imposed by the state that have nothing to do with the conditions of our water situation.
Yes, we are all regulated by the drought conditions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item is just a real quick update, just regarding municipal aggregation. We made a commitment. Obviously, our municipal aggregation program began in December. We acknowledged that, the rate for National Grid would change in February. I did receive information regarding that. The town's rate is lower than National Grid's rate for that period of time, so I just want to acknowledge that. Locking in a rate is not an exact science. You're taking, you're looking at market conditions, and I just want to say I think we got it right. So we had a lower price than the previous year. We're lower regarding National Grid's basic service rate for the following 6 months as well. So I'm happy that residents have the opportunity to utilize that program. Really quick information, just so we can move forward. About approximately 84% of the town residents are on the town basic service rate aggregation program. About 12% of people decided to opt out, and they can decide to opt in, opt out, no fees or anything associated with that. So we're very proud of that, and I appreciate the collaboration with Energy Committee and everyone in terms of moving this program forward. Glad to be a part of trying to help residents.
Thank you. Any questions? No.
So the next item, I'm going to have actually our building Commissioner Steve Solari come up. I do want to acknowledge, I think moving forward, town manager's report, I got a nice recommendation from one of our residents about approaching questions, because I know some of the questions that were posed as part of the public policy input meeting and some of the questions submitted, we've addressed a couple of times, but it's, obviously not everyone's able to watch a council meeting all the time and so forth. So trying to directly say, hey, these are resident questions, something to refer to, I just want to acknowledge that was a good suggestion. We'll do that forward. I'll have Steve address some of the questions that were addressed at the public policy input meeting.
Good evening.
So Steve is going to address, I think you asked about ADUs. We can give some information about ADUs. We can give information about the building permit process and the aquifer over there.
I'll do the ADUs first.
Steve, I think you have to turn your mic on.
Can you hear me now? Okay. At this current moment, the building department has issued 13 ADU permits. I would probably say 70% of them are attached, and the rest, we probably only have like 4 detached. I know those concerns about the town increasing by thousands of people. We don't really have that problem. The average cost of an ADU is somewhere between $250 and $450. So investment-wise, an ADU is not a great investment for short term. It's great for your parents, your family, your kids are moving out. I have about 3 right now that are pending. So 12 issued, 3 pending. We do get a lot. There's a lot of areas in town that we can't even fit ADUs. I know this was also brought up at the last meeting about the size of District C and District D. All those lots of, those are the areas around the college, around the center of town, very small lots. Pretty much all of them are legal non-conforming, meaning they don't even meet the 18,500. So we have a lot of areas in town that wouldn't even be able to fit an ADU detached. You could maybe incorporate it in the building, up the building, or in the basement of the building, but as far as adding on, not too much. So we do get a lot, but I don't think at the pace that everybody thought that, ADUs are going to take over the world and, doom and gloom. It's just, it's a good process right now, and it's helping out a lot of families and parents that don't want to leave. We have, I'd say, probably 4 or 5 are kids taking over the house, and the parents are moving into the ADU. So which is kind of nice because they get to stay. So the ADU one's pretty easy. As far as I know permitting process was asked, how we do permitting, and we have a very good system. It's permitized, and the way that permits come in, and I'll use Perkins Foundry as an example. So after the foundry gets approved by CED and the planning board, the foundry will apply for a permit. I get the plans, I review the plans, all the documentations, and once, not to make it quick, but once we take care of all that, I send it out to sign off. So a project like Perkins, the sign off would go to planning board, it would go to fire, it would go to water, it would go to sewer, conservation, highway department, because that's located in our section of Route 18. And any other department that I felt necessary, that gets sent out. And the way the system works is it sends out as a green dot. So when I send it out, it's a green dot. When it comes back approved, it's a blue dot. So say the planning board, they're all set, they've got all their information, they got all their bond money, they'll check it out saying approved. If, say, the water department was waiting on the study report or waiting a check, they would sign disapprove, which would turn it red, and then they would put in an explanation of why it's disapproved. So I don't issue the permit until everybody has signed off and approved the application. So I do not issue a permit until all departments have signed off for the permit. The smaller permits, let's take, you put some windows in your house. It's only going to the treasurer collector. Those are pretty quick. Treasurer collector, get them pretty back. Siding, solar, those go to treasurer collector, electrical inspector. Small additions might go to Board of Health because they're adding bedrooms. If someone's adding bedrooms to like an ADU and they're going to tie in to the sewer or the water, they go to sewer and water. Most of the ADUs, just to jump back, usually tie in through the main house. So they're coming after the water meter, or they're tying into the septic, or they're putting in their own septic. So that's pretty much how the permitting is done. Because I know a lot of people have questions like, am I just issuing permits when I come in? No, the town has a very
big process, especially on the large projects. I work very close with the town planner, Shane, on going over all the requirements or what's needed. So it's a process that it really does work, and the whole town's involved with it, as far as all the departments are on it. So really, there's nobody being left out or questioned why, something's been issued for that, so.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
Questions from counselors? None, huh?
No, real thorough. Thank you.
Okay.
Very much.
I have a
Extremely
couple
thorough.
questions.
Sure.
So maybe you can't speak to this specifically, but is it typical in this process that, the biggest concern I think that people have in the process is probably the infrastructure capacity. So I don't know if you could speak to it specifically. Is the water department, I know now we're not, approving new projects, but is the water department taking into consideration total capacity? Is that done in the immediate? Is it projected out into the future? Because obviously if Perkins, starts being built, they're not going to be done for a couple of years. So I don't know if you could even speak to that process of how
Sure,
that
no,
would
I
work.
definitely can. So as you know, Perkins is an approved project. That's a big project, it's a pre-approved. So, and as the town's decided that we're going to, approve big projects, it's still gonna have to be, the sign-off would still go to the water and sewer. And since the water and sewer gentleman came on board, we've had a great pairing up of making sure that all the processes are done right. Because there was a lot, they're new, so they were questioning a lot of how we were issuing and how it was issued before. So we've come up with a better system for us, myself and water and sewer, to make sure that we don't have any problems with if the capacity. Capacity is not determined by me, it's determined by them. But again, if they sign off and say it's all set, that's just telling me that it's good to go. Just to jump back a little bit, in the state of Massachusetts building code, I cannot issue a permit by law unless there's potable water. So I either have to have a sign off from the water department saying there's water, or I have to have a sign off by the Board of Health saying that the well that they put in is drinkable water. I cannot even, by law, I can't issue a permit without those two. So, did that answer your question? Or did
Yeah, that's very helpful.
That I didn't veer off.
Well, I think that people are trying to understand, who has the say as to do we have the infrastructure to take on more projects? And it sounds like in the case of water and sewer, that falls within the water and sewer division.
They have the say, because they'd be the ones that would red dot it and basically deny and just, give their reason why, like you said, if there wasn't a water survey, or if they just didn't have the water capacity to give out to that project, would be through those. Yeah.
And this is, oh God, I'm hogging the questions. This is speculative. So if we are, in the summer months, and it's really more of a question for the water division, so I don't want to put you in the spot, but what I would say is we have to really look at our capacity issues once we get on the other side of this water supply emergency, and make sure that we're not approving those large projects unless we do have that capacity.
Well, I'm doing that right now with homes. We have a lot of people, because I get Form A lots come up all the time. I bought a house lot, I'm splitting it to 2 lots, or I've picked up a lot or 2. And basically, everybody who's come into me, and same with the CED department, we've told them that right now, we don't have water capacity. So I still can give them the option. I say, we don't have water, but that doesn't say you can't put a well in and pull a permit. It's just that we cannot give you water. So I can't give a permit to you based on our, so we are, because of all the situations, we are telling everyone that comes in that hasn't been an approved project that it can't be approved right now because of the water. And then, I have them reach out. You say, reach out to the water department, reach out to the sewer department. They can give you a better explanation. I'm the building inspector. They can give you the technical explanation and the mechanical explanation of why, we don't have water right now. Because I know there's some confusion with the 1-inch line, 2-inch line, which, we fixed. Italian, talk about hands. So, so that's pretty much, we are up on it. I know I get a lot of people to counter, and of course I do all the inspections in town, and every house I go to, which is probably like 7 or 8 a day, Oh, yeah. I, as the building inspector, have to listen to the questions. And I try to give the best answer I can to everyone about the situation at hand, so.
Well, thank you. That is very helpful.
I think there's the other question, just because I was at that last meeting, someone had brought up the water resource protection zone. That got brought up at the last meeting also. It is through the building inspector. I think there's a little bit of misunderstanding, because we were thinking that if a project gets started, it's through conservation and building. But for someone to build in the water resource protection, I'm the zoning officer. It has to come to me first for an allowed use, because there's a lot of uses that are not allowed in the water resource protection zone. You know, auto repair, any type of business with a chemical. You know, there's a good amount. So that is through me, through that question.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Steve, can you just elaborate? But if they're building, Conservation Commission.
No, that's what I just said. If they, once something gets approved, the process, it has to go through the CD, the Conservation Department, besides the building, because Conservation is involved with that immensely. So that's where the confusion came when the person got up, and I don't know who the gentleman was, asked the question that, you know, he didn't think it was through Conservation. You know, the determination of what can be built there is through me, but when the project starts, it's through Conservation and Building.
Got it.
I'm glad you use your hands, because it looks like you need to do a lot of juggling. In an ideal situation, if we had more resources in the town going into budget season, I'm assuming you could use more help.
Well, I'll be honest. When I've been here, this is my 9th year, and the first 5 years I had a full-time building inspector. So for the past 3 years, I've been by myself. So, yeah. But I do understand, I've had many discussions with Justin. I do understand the restraints of the process, so.
Yeah, just a question for you. As building inspector, are you responsible for maintenance, upkeep, and abandoned property?
The building department is responsible for abandoned property. So we have, through our charter, we have a bylaw for abandoned buildings. So I'll give you an example, because we collect the money. If a bank takes over a property, they'll send us a form in, a registration form. It's $200 a year, and they register the property. But I will be honest with you, I'm probably going to say 60% of the banks and people do not bother. They just, you know, and a lot of times abandoned property is kind of a legal tough situation, because if the property is being paid for, the taxes are being paid for, all the bills being paid for, and they're maintaining the building, it's really tough to go after somebody for an abandoned building, because we have people that have houses that are in terrible shape that live there, never mind abandoned properties. So, but as far as maintenance, no, because there's no bylaw or even building code. The only building code for maintenance is if it affects safety. You know, if I drive by your house and the stairs are falling off, I can knock on your door. You have a safety violation. But if your paint's peeling, your windows are rotting away, your roof's missing shingles, I have no say in but the private property. You know, it's up to owners to maintain their property.
Let me ask you a very specific question,
Sure,
because
go
I
ahead.
encountered it this
Okay.
weekend. If I were to be walking down the center of town and I noticed on the ground that there are paint chips all over the ground on the sidewalk for the property, how do I know that that's, you know, a historic district, isn't lead paint, isn't a safety concern? And if it is, where do you report that to?
Right. You would have to report that to probably we don't, the building department doesn't handle lead paint. Lead paint is through, it's through Department of, it's a state level. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's a state level. So, yeah, I don't know how far you would get there, because if someone's doing work on their home and it's lead paint, that doesn't even go through us. It's through the Board of Health. But nobody tells if people are doing work on lead paint. But if, like you just said, getting back to it, I have no authority to make somebody pick up their lead paint or whatever's falling, you know, off their bill. Like if it was a safety issue, like we had an issue on the building where Justice Zertz was, with a glass pane. So I contacted them, they plywooded it up. Now, did they do a good job of plywooding it up? No, but they fixed the safety of it so that no one could get injured from it.
Yeah, this was downtown in our, on the sidewalk area.
Yeah, I deal with all the properties down there, because we have a lot of properties that get licenses from the council. And we do make suggestions on, you know, you should really, but all we can make is suggestions. That's all I can do as the building inspector.
Thank you.
So how long do the residents of the town have to look at that? It's not your call. I mean, it's been there for
I can give
3
you a
months
little,
already.
so the building that's on the corner, where Just Desserts was, it was sold, but then it was in court. The gentleman that owned the building passed away, so I think it was stuck in probate. What I was just told, and again, I'm just going on what I was just told, because everyone reaches out to me on properties. I heard it was just finally bought. Because the gentleman that did buy the property came into my office, I'm going to say probably 3/4 of a year ago, and was asking what he could do, you know, to fix it up and replace everything. And I told him also he's got to reach out to historical. We have an issue with when it comes to historical buildings, because historical likes you to use wood, and wood is PVC painted, looks just like wood, and will last 100 years. Wood will only last 15 years. So these are the items that I always send people to the department that needs. So that's historical. I, you know, sit down with them in a historical meeting and discuss with them what you'd like to do, what the changes would be. Thank you.
All right. Well, that was very helpful. Thank you.
Anytime. Well, thank you.
I'm going to have Mr. Woolley come to talk about some of our approved projects. And I know that was a question about approved and it's not approved. So Bob, we're going to be that.
So for this discussion, approved is by the planning board and/or zoning and conservation. Approval does not necessarily mean that they're going to automatically be connected to water and sewer. They still need to do those impact studies before they can connect and a CO can be issued. So the 3 major approvals that we have are the Perkins Foundry, which is 180 Broad Street, 70-88 Broad Street, which is the Friendly site, and the Hilton Garden Hotel out at Lakeshore. So just for context, to give some sense of what the positives are of these projects is, you know, currently, as an example, at 180 Broad Street, annually we collect just under $24,000 a year in real estate property taxes. Based on what we think the budget is for that new building, the yearly tax would increase to $460,000 on an annual basis. The one-time fees that the town realizes from that project are in 2 categories: permits and then enterprise fund for water and sewer. Just for building alone, not electrical, not plumbing. The building permit fees for that project are $560,000, and the funding into the enterprise fund is $780,000. And that project also committed to give $200,000 unrestricted in mitigation. We do a fiscal impact analysis on these larger projects, so we look at what the impacts are for fire, police, schools. In each case of these 3 projects, taking in consideration the fiscal impact, we're still positive in terms of revenues that the town is receiving. So using Broad Street as another example, the property taxes currently are $12,269. They would increase to $239,000. Again, that's using last year's tax rate. The building permit fees, just for building permit, not the others, is $291,000, and the water and sewer connection one time to the enterprise fund is $405,000. We can assume that, we haven't seen any budget numbers yet for the hotel, but we can assume that that would be very similar to what the Friendly site is. So there's a significant, you know, just looking at those 3, in one-time fees, it's $1.8 million. So as we're looking at infrastructure, I mean, there is revenue that's coming in to offset some of that. You know, the annual taxes are going from $36,000 to $1.1 million on an annual basis. That doesn't take into consideration excise tax, CPA, or meal tax. So, I mean, they are positive for the town. Anybody that knows me since I've been here, I've been acutely concerned about water and sewer since I got here. So, I mean, I want to echo what Mr. Solari said in terms of the cooperation, the way Justin has set up teams within the town, working with Public Works. So we're all collectively addressing these issues. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
I have a very specific question, again, and maybe for the town attorney. And I had asked this previously, but we were tied up with a very specific project when I had asked it. Does the planning board have the authority to reject a project based on water and sewer capacity? When Mr. Driscoll was here last, he said that he relies on the water department for that information, but he didn't directly answer the question.
So it's probably because it's a hypothetical.
Yeah.
And I would advise our planning board and any town official to never answer a hypothetical question because there's too many facts that would go into that, right? Usually, right, and I'm not speaking to that hypothetical, there's a variety of reasons a planning board would reject a project, but you also have to go to what is actually before the planning board. Is it subdivision approval? Is it a special permit? Or is it something that then would also have to go to the ZBA? So I think the reason you're not getting a specific answer to that question is it's kind of unanswerable unless there's a specific project in a specific context that you can actually analyze the fact pattern.
But they have the ability to analyze it on any project.
Of course, I hope they're analyzing all their projects that come before them, right? Because depending on what it's coming before them on, they should be looking at all the legal criteria for approval. If something is off, right, within that legal criteria, then they will have a basis, though they don't have to, they will have a basis in which they could reject a project. Doesn't mean they will. Sometimes boards make decisions that they consider one factor greater than another factor, and you have to justify that legally if you're in my role, right? So I think that's why you don't have a specific answer. It's really almost impossible to answer it specifically,
Yeah.
right? Because each thing that comes before each board has set criteria, and you have to look at the project itself and the criteria for which that project falls under, right? Is it a problem if a project can't get potable water? Probably, but you just heard the building inspector say, maybe the planning board approved it, but I can't issue the permit because there's a regulation I have to follow. So it's so fact-specific that it's impossible to answer it in that kind of hypothetical way.
But ideally, that would be for all town resources, right? Even, we're not talking water. If we said,
Yeah, I mean, it could be, right? Because there are many things, and not to get into the weeds of what comes before boards, but you could have subdivision approvals, right? And they're looking at, do we have proper roadways? Do we have proper drainage? Do we have, and when they're looking at it, before they release a bond back to the builder, they need to say, yeah, this is okay, because if it's not okay, then the town has to sue on that bond, right, to enforce, to make things right. And so there are all these, paths you can go down in that analysis, and that's why it's difficult. Sometimes projects are deficient in some way and still get approved. Sometimes perfect projects might get denied, right? And this body and me have no say over whether that happens or doesn't happen. And frankly, whatever happens on that, I'm going to defend. So, because that's my job, right?
well,
But-
so that was going to be my next question. You kind of answered that. Sorry, Mr.
Yeah.
Rulli, but I thought this was kind of tangentially related. A lot of folks will come to us and ask about water or schools, but in fact, my view of it is the planning board really, that is their purpose. That's what they serve to do, is
Yes.
to review that and move forward or not move forward with those things.
The planning board's role is to, whatever's before them, look at the legal criteria for which they can approve or disapprove a project. And it's usually more permissive, meaning they look at what is needed to approve a project, right? And they will look at all that criteria, and then they'll make findings on it and say, this is why we're going to approve it, right? And that is absolutely within their purview in what they do. But again, it's contextual, so it depends on what's before them. Special permit's very different than site plan approval, two very different things. Sometimes they work in concert together, so it gets more complicated than that. But in a nutshell, that's what it looks like.
And why are they separate from the town council? You just said that purposely.
Because the town council has no purview over any of those decisions. And in fact, it's really important that each one of those boards, Conservation, Planning, Zoning Board of Appeals, are all autonomous bodies that are not impacted by each other or this council, because they're all quasi-adjudicatory. They're actually making decisions that are essentially giving legal rights to someone. And you all, as the town council, have no ability, other than as citizens, if you went to a meeting and spoke as an abutter or whatever, to impact those, nor should you, because that could actually render their decisions arbitrary and capricious if they were to make a decision based on what you all wanted rather than what the law says, right? So it's really important that each one of those bodies keep autonomy and keep separate and apart from each other. Even though a lot of the time these projects might have something before all of them at one time, they actually have to make their own determination on whatever law is directly in front of them, and not the determination based on what some other board should be deciding or not deciding.
Thank you.
That makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll just add that since this all has evolved with water, the next larger project that might be considered is the rehabilitation hospital at Lakeshore. The planning board did require a third-party water impact study to be completed. The applicant had their engineers do one. The planning board decided that they wanted to have their own done. So I don't know that that's going to be standard practice moving forward. It probably should be, but they are being more vigilant about it to support what Jason was saying in terms of them having all the information necessary.
That's good.
Is the zoning ordinance is written in a way where the planning board can reject a project based upon the availability of water, or is this just part of their advisory role?
I didn't hear the beginning part. I missed the beginning part.
My associate will answer.
Yeah. Well,
It may require looking into the zoning ordinances, but does the planning board have a binding rule on if a project can be approved based upon the availability of water?
I'd have to look at the law as it relates to each one of the specific types of actions that could come before the planning board. Site plan approval, and I'm just going off the top of my head, may have something in it about infrastructure and availability of resources, but don't quote me on that. I would have to look at Mass General laws and our laws, specifically our ordinances, before I gave you a specific answer on that. But I would guess if it was anything, it'd probably be site plan approval.
Okay. And then you mentioned the water impact study over at the rehabilitation center. Is that being done now?
We've been waiting on it for months now. It was commissioned in October. We were told we were going to see it by Christmas. We're, I don't know, number of 20 days past Christmas, still haven't seen it, which is unfortunate because it keeps delaying that hearing moving forward.
When that does come, are those reports available for the projects that are currently going on now?
They'll be posted on the CED website under that specific project.
Okay, so some of the other larger projects going on in town, are those reports available?
The fiscal impact study that was done for Perkins is available on the town's website.
Mm-hmm.
Broad Street, we did the fiscal impact. I'm happy to share those numbers.
Are the water reports available? People ask
They
for
haven't
them.
been completed yet
Okay,
on any of those three.
okay. Any other questions? Okay, thanks.
Right, just to add we discussed a little bit in the water updates, but water questions, the town did submit the grant related to the $2 million grant from DEP, so we did submit that. So hopefully we get some, quick information regarding that. I'll segue into the question about, how the town is paying for the acquisition of water from Middleborough. Those were some of the questions that were asked. We're hoping, and part of our grant submission was to allocate the cost specifically for the Middleborough interconnection, the interim trailer, to allocate those costs there. So the question has been, will there be an impact on residents for this fiscal year in water rates? No, assuming that we get that grant, there will be no impact regarding that. Obviously, we talked about PFAS a little bit in these interim trailers as we got some of these sampling data from 10A, 10B. we obviously had to quickly pivot and say, hey, we want to look at PFAS and integrating PFAS treatment at the trailer. So absolutely, we've looked at that. I think we mentioned that before, but in passing, but we are specifically looking at that as well to address that question about treating PFAS there.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yes.
Just to follow up, do you know when the last time those wells were tested, water sample? Do we have a record of that prior to this time?
Yes, they're all available thing, but Bill can speak to that.
So those wells were tested while they were online in October. We did do some preliminary testing in case we were going to have to activate them for an emergency status. Regular iron, manganese, regular DEP sampling requirements, they're all available through the month of December.
And prior to October, when we turned them on, were they tested?
Prior to turning them on, every time we turned them on and activated them, they would have to meet the requirements of the sampling procedures.
Okay, thank you.
Just a short question on that. Are those the same reports that are uploaded on EEA?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's a helpful website.
No question about, are we having or hopefully having a regular flushing schedule for the future? Absolutely. That's something the town absolutely needs to do. And that's part of something that Bill and our team have talked about, making sure that we're able to do the requirements to keep this system effective and a good quality system for residents moving forward. I think we addressed that again as part of our update as well, but to clarify, part of this process or the plan with the Middleborough interconnection was to allow us to do flushing during this period. Obviously, it's not the ideal time, but we are doing that work. The question, and this is sort of combination with the BSU question, people have asked if the same measures for conserving water are being asked of BSU and other large commercial entities. Absolutely. And specifically regarding BSU, President Clark and I meet semi-regularly. We talk about every single meeting that we've had. We talked about water and making sure we're collaborating. I know that Water Superintendent Young has met with their facilities team and just making sure we're all saying the same thing. They understand our emergency declaration. I spoke with President Clark right before the Christmas holiday and so forth. We mentioned this again. So they absolutely do have the same measures as well. And we emphasize, the conserving of water, communication. I think it was mentioned previously, there was a large usage of water. I think over the summer that wasn't communicated to the town. Directly have talked with President Clark about that at least 3 times, just making sure that doesn't occur ever again as well. So there's collaboration there. The questions have been about, whether they pay the same rate as users. I know we mentioned this at our last meeting as well, but just to emphasize this again, the council did approve new water rates that change the tier structure, that larger users, which BSU is a larger user, does pay more than the average user. That information is on the website and the DPW page under the water rate study. So if people want to see specific rates, they can see that there. So I think those were some of the BSU questions. One of the other questions was BSU about, obviously they don't pay real estate taxes as a state entity, but the town does get some pilot money from state-owned land in regarding state-owned land within the community. I will say it's not enough, and we've advocated for getting additional resources. I know you have counselors who have mentioned that as well, so we're advocating to try to get additional support regarding that, because Bridgewater does have a lot of state-owned property within it, and obviously if that's not on the tax roll, we're not receiving the financial benefits of that. So we're obviously advocating there. I think those are the BSU questions.
That pilot money, that doesn't include BSU, correct?
No, I don't think it does. It's state-owned land, and so it's a lump sum of state-owned land. I've talked with President Clark because I think I know what your question is. I think Senator Kennedy has brought this up. There's a specific carve-out for UMass and different things like that. We're talking with our state representatives about that. We talked with Rep. Gallagher and Senator Driscoll about that.
Yeah, but BSU isn't factored into that pilot money equation as is right now.
No, I don't think so.
No. Yeah.
No.
And can I just ask another question on BSU? Are you transitioning?
Go ahead.
Do they benefit from our energy aggregation as well too?
They do.
They do. So they're an opt-in.
They have town accounts and they opted in, yes.
Interesting.
Yep. Free cash, question was about free cash and where free cash was this year. Once again, this was on an order where we did transfer free cash appropriations to our relevant accounts. almost $4.3 million was in free cash. Those transfers went to the stabilization fund, the capital fund, employee liability fund, and so forth. The question was, are we utilizing any of those funds to help support the schools, address roads or traffic? And yes, no, the council approved the school capital appropriation. That was part of that transfer request. So we did that. We'll talk about it tonight in part of our capital improvement plan for this year. One of the recommendations that came from our office was to allocate $200,000 of sort of seed money to augment Chapter 90 funds, which once again, not enough. We're advocating for more, but at least on our time, allocating free cash to sort of supplement roadway improvement. So yes, is that enough? No, but obviously we have to live within the limitations of our free cash. So, that information is available online as well, but that's where our free cash and so forth was. A question was asked about the audit and whether the town does an audit on an annual basis. We do. And specifically our town departments, every year, Lori and her team, finance team, interact with auditors and provide an audit. That information is on the website as well. That can be found in the finance department, but that's an annual basis. I will augment a little bit. There's probably some follow-up I need in terms of the query about notifications. That's something that we'll have to do. But in terms of the website, clearly, we've mentioned a couple of times, website, transitional website, we've got to make sure the links are working. We got to make sure that we're doing that work. So we'll have another update regarding that. The town charter is on the website. It's on the town manager's page. So I think I mentioned the website, so I was going to take advantage of addressing that question. My commitment as well is there's obviously some other policy inputs and questions that I think the council probably needs to address. And example, residency restrictions, et cetera. I'm not going to discuss some of those questions. I defer to the council, but we'll continue to look through this list. And if, as we get some more questions, we'll structure it based on resident questions and provide answers to residents in that form or fashion. So I know we have some other questions that we'll address moving forward. And actually, our finance director did correct. BSU is part of the state-owned land money. But we will clarify it. We will follow up on it just to make sure. I think the main element was the specific carve out with UMass, and we don't see that for BSU. That's the part that we want to follow up on, and that's where we've talked with Rep. Driscoll, State Senator Driscoll and Rep. Gallagher specifically about.
Any other questions, councilors?
What are we doing future?
I'll wrap up these, and I'm sorry to go all the way back to permits, but I'm just trying to understand, because we had talked about the water impact study, and Mr. Slaughter did a great job of explaining that process. At what point do the water impact studies, it sounds like with the rehabilitation project, it's coming into effect at the planning board level. When does that usually take effect? When is that being considered? Because are we able to issue building permits without that being done?
The town previously did it. So part of our process with the team that we have in place is we want water impact studies as part of our process. I think we've mentioned this before as well. We need to update our water regulations. We need to be transparent, be very clear about that. We would probably specifically address where water impact studies are a part of this water process and the water regulations. So that's something that we're absolutely working on. It'll be part of the planning board process, but obviously once we update those water regulations, people will see exactly where it is, and that's work that we need to do.
Okay, that makes it a little more clear. Thank you.
I don't know why it's taken this long to get that done, but.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, because we have projects out there that are being built that have building permits that we don't have impact studies on.
Yeah, but we've had a water issue for 10 years, and we're just now looking at the regulations.
I will, once again, I'm not going to say what decisions were made in the past. That's not my job. What I care, I'm here now, and this is us addressing it. We absolutely need to update our water regulations. We want it to be clear. We want it for everyone to see it, understand it, and have a process in place. I think you've heard from our team is providing the framework that we need to operate out of. Collaboration amongst departments. We have monthly meetings now. We're talking about projects, being on the same page, messaging the same, understanding, what our current situation is. We have a water strategies meeting that doesn't just only include DPW. We include my office, include CED. So we're making sure we're collaborative. We're making sure we're on the same page and addressing some of the things that, weren't addressed previously.
Thank you. So yeah, requests for future meetings, if you had one, Paul.
Oh, yeah, I just had a question about town building inventory. I don't know if that's something we track or if there's just a list of town buildings and what that looks like. I'd love to know how many there are, where they exist, just in total.
I don't have anything now, but we still have time before the next meeting to get questions into the town manager. It doesn't have to be tonight, correct?
No, it could be via email. As long as it's on the agenda, then it could be addressed. Anything? Okay, thank you. All right, now we'll go into discussions.
Is there any possibility of a quick recess?
Yeah, why don't we take let's say a 10-minute recess. We'll convene at 9:05 p.m.
I can do 5.
All right, 5 minutes, 9 o'clock. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll now move into discussions. These are a couple of items which are left over from our meeting of the general public, which was a couple of weeks ago. So I will bring up those topics for us here. Some of them were already answered and addressed. The one under intergovernmental and institutional impacts. Sorry, I'm just going back to my notes. We had, sorry about that, my notes are actually out of order. So we had, it's not really under that category, but this is something that was missed. It's about the transfer station. So Justin, maybe you could speak to this a little bit. Somebody suggested that we establish a policy requiring an annual transfer station report, including finances, contracts, and performance. So is this something that is already included as part of our budgeting process, or those reports, or is this something that could be different than that?
We'll follow up. We can take a look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, it was suggested and something that we could look into. That was the only one under that item. So we can move into environmental protection, which was the 6th and last category. There was a number of things here. So some of the suggestions are, number one, to adopt a tree preservation bylaws and ordinances, specifically for trees and buffers and setbacks, and to strengthen local tree protection. I read through our admin code, and it seems that there is an opportunity to make this a little bit more robust. I don't know if anybody on the council has looked at this themselves, or is this something that we need to look into further?
I've seen it before. Maybe we ask the tree committee to do some work on it.
Yeah. So we could try to work collaboratively with the tree committee, and I'm personally open if they want to bring some proposed legislation or legislation from other communities that's a little bit more robust than ours. Ours seems to kind of lean on like kind of state laws, and it's more for trees that are in the town's kind of public way, so we can strengthen that. So I for one am open to some of that feedback if anybody wants to bring it to us. The next suggestion was similar, which is to update wetland protection bylaws and regulations. The residents said that they are outdated and they need some updating. So again, I don't know if any of us wants to tackle that or work with the Conservation Commission and to seek input, but that's something that was brought up. I don't know if anybody has any comments on that.
We had a resident that came before us who happened to have been at that last meeting, who at one point proposed to the council to have some kind of an environmental committee in town, and that's Jean Di Battista, if I'm saying it right, the Friends of Lake Nip and things like that. I think we might want to get some residents involved in something like that too, with expertise.
Yeah, and I'm surprised do we not have a board that does that type of thing? So we could look at
Conservation Commission?
the Conservation Commission, I guess, right? So we could look into speaking with them or maybe getting more involved with that process.
Thank you, Mr. The Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commission, maybe we could get them to come out or send, they have wetland buffer zone guidebooks, but maybe they could come out and send us more information or give us a presentation, because they do the updates.
Yeah, and then we can update our bylaws to reflect that.
Just to provide a little context, obviously, we want you to discuss the town doesn't have a conservation agent at the moment, but with the previous conservation agent, it was discussed with them as well as the Conservation Commission that we were looking to update, our bylaws and things related to the Conservation Commission as well. So that's something that they want to do. We obviously have to hire the personnel to help us move forward there, but just provide context there.
Okay. Yeah, so when we do have that person in place, we'll try to collaborate them. And what's the best channel to kind of get that going, Justin?
I think the Conservation Commission is probably the best channel.
Okay.
I do note what Councilor Lindy mentioned regarding a recommendation about having maybe an overall environmental group, but I do think there's inter-commission opportunities and committees to collaborate. So I think, based on kind of where our commissions and committees are now, where we don't have enough people volunteering for these things, I probably want to see what operational opportunities that we have regarding that. But I think Conservation Commission is probably the best one at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, we could reach out to them, and we're open to any input that they have, and we could update some of these bylaws and regulations. And that was pretty much it for the major policy suggestions here. So unless councilors have anything else on any of those environmental protection topics, we can kind of move on.
I have one. I would like to see the wellhead protection plan have on one of the committees or the commissions be responsible for that, because I've listened to Mr. Peterson's reasons while he was on the committee, and I think that would be a very good idea. And the other one, the town river behind the campus plaza, it was brought up that there's a lot of trash and stuff along the river, so I don't know who owns that, but maybe we could look in that one too.
Sounds good. Okay, so now we'll move on to committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? We'll do ours after, or do you want to do ours during legislation, or do you want to do it now?
I'm just going to give a quick update on the discussion.
Oh, yeah, sounds good.
So we had 4 discussion items tonight on the Budget and Finance Committee meeting, mostly around the FY27 timeline and what that timeline is going to look like over the course of the next 3 months. And so the timeline will be posted, or maybe we can get it posted with the agenda somewhere online. If not, there were some great dates on there that outline the process, when to expect to see the budget come before the council, various subcommittees. Tomorrow evening, we have our first session with the school committee, which we talked a little bit about. The plan is for early February for the Budget and Finance Committee to come together and do a several-hour workshop diving deep into the budget itself, asking questions and understanding anything there is that's maybe vague or we want a little bit more information on. And we're going to work with the Finance Committee to loop them in and work with them on their availability on joining us as well, too. So a lot of good stuff coming up, but we're definitely in it with the budget season. And so we'll be adding discussion items on top of the legislation pretty regularly going forward.
Thank you for that. Any other committee reports? Okay. We'll now move into legislation for action. First up is Order FY26-042. This is a transfer order, the general fund for capital plan transfers. Budget and Finance voted 3-0 to recommend at their January 5th meeting, and the Finance Committee voted 4-1 to recommend at their January 12th meeting. And just a question for the councilors who are here. I did have our council clerk forward over comments from the Finance Chair, MJ Spogone. Did we receive that?
Yes.
All right, great. So moving forward, I personally am able to watch most of their meetings, but I'm asking the chair to send us a report or a memo of sorts of how people voted and some of the high-level discussions that they had, just so we can have some context behind the numbers when it's when it's not a unanimous vote. When it's a split vote, maybe there's some discussions there. So I'm glad that you guys got that. So that being said, I'm just opening this up for discussions from any of the councilors on the capital plan. No, none. So I would entertain a motion on this one.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the capital plan?
We're just doing the transfers right now, correct?
Yeah, sorry, the capital plan transfer.
I have one question. I would like our town manager to just give kind of a laundry list of some of the places where the capital improvements will be going.
Absolutely. So I'll give the high-level list. The list is in the packet, but obviously there's, and we've talked about this a little bit, specifically in the budget subcommittees, but there's a few building improvements. We're specifically addressing some of the library issues that we've talked about, quite a few times. Replacing windows, replacing carpeting and flooring, addressing the archway structural view, replacing the columns, that have been an issue for some time, making some ADA improvements. We're addressing senior center flooring, addressing some public safety issues regarding like radio repeaters, typical vehicle replacement program, as well as in our fire department, outfitting ambulances, engines, turnout gear. We have, a small replacement of a plow and sander. I'm actually really proud of that because I want to give a shout out to our highway superintendent. He's always on the prowl to find, something that's cost effective for the town. To replace a plow sander sometimes can be six figures, but he found like a good replacement that we're all allocating $10,000 for, and they're using some gift money to purchase it. So, we're excited about that. Addressing some recreation ADA requirements, some fencing. And as I mentioned before, I'm proud that, we were able to come up with, at least start the seed money to augment roadway improvement. So $200,000 in roadway improvements gives us flexibility to address some of the issues that we have in town, because obviously we know Chapter 90 doesn't do enough. So, maybe we don't allocate that $200,000, maybe we allocate a portion of it, but at least start some seed money to help make some progress there. So those are some of the things that are a part of the capital, but the actual capital list is in the packet and identifies the sources and stuff in there.
Thank you. Anything further, councilors? So I entertain a motion on this one. Oh, wait, sir, we already did that. We got the motion in a second. It's getting late. So no further discussion. We go for a roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
And Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Great. We'll now move on to FY 26-045, adoption of a 5-year capital improvement plan. Budget and Finance voted 3-0 to recommend, and the Finance Committee voted 4-1 to recommend. So this is the 5-year overview plan that kind of goes with this previous one that we just did, but this is kind of projecting out to 5 years. So our tab manager, do we have any more details on this that you wanted to share?
No, I think most important part of it, and we've mentioned this, obviously, Budget Finance Subcommittee and the Finance Committee is, it's a best practice to do a 5-year capital improvement plan. Is this the gospel? Is it this year? Is every year baked in? No. We look at this on an annual basis. If you look at what the previous capital improvement plan was for last year to this year, there's nuance, there's some change. But also we put projects on there that we expect, we hear from departments that these are things we may have to address. But it is an annual process. We look at it annually. So, in terms of it being a 5-year, I know this question is this 5 years and this is how we're allocating our funds? No, we look at it on an annual basis. But it's important to highlight what those projects look long-term.
Yeah, I think the important point is it's good to have the roadmap, but we can amend it year to year. So with that being said, I entertain a motion for approval and a second for discussion.
So move.
Motion and second. Any discussion on this one, councilors? Yeah.
One other thing, that was a misconception as well, because if you look at the transfer order that we did previously, this question has come up a couple times. Are we only putting $200,000 to roadway improvements? No, that is part of the capital improvement plan. If you look at that document, as well sourced out, not only future, but this year, also give you various sources, and Chapter 90 funds, for example, wouldn't be a part of the transfer that we just did. It'll be part of the overall year capital improvement program. So I encourage people to look at that document. A lot of work goes in it. Lori and her team do a lot of work in there. It has a lot of good information there.
Great, thank you. So with that being said, we'll go for a roll call, please.
Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
And Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. Next up, Order FY 26-046, acceptance of a donation from the O'Leary Charitable Foundation. The Finance Committee voted 5-0 to recommend at their January 12th meeting, and then I'll kick it over to Councilor Murphy.
Yeah, Budget and Finance voted 3-0 to recommend.
Great. That being said, I'll entertain a motion for approval and second for discussion.
So move.
Motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on this generous donation?
Do
Okay.
you want to just say FinCom too? Did FinCom?
He did.
Oh, yeah, they
Said budget
5-0
thing.
to recommend.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
And Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Great. Next up, Order FY 26-047, acceptance of donation from the Bridgewater Police Association. Finance Committee voted 5-0 to recommend at their January 12th meeting. And Councilor Murphy on the Budget and Finance update.
Budget and Finance voted 3-0 to recommend.
Thank you. So I entertain a motion for approval and second for discussion.
So move.
Motion, second. Thank you. Any discussion on this one? Okay, yeah, this is from the Bridgewater Police Association to our, for the use of for our veterans agents to use at his discretion. So we're happy that we're getting those funds. So we'll just take another roll call, please.
Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
And Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Great. Next up, we have Resolution FY 26-007, an assessment for the reuse of the former town hall, AKA townhouse. Councilor Ellenberg is not present. She is on Zoom, and we had initially discussed continuing this to our next meeting. Would you like to do that, Mrs. Ellenberg?
I would. Thank you.
Great.
Mr.
So
President.
would you want to make a motion to continue?
I so move.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
No.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
And Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed.
Next up is Ordinance DFY 26-005, Proposed Zoning Ordinance Amendment. This is for the Senior Village Housing Development. The Planning Board voted 5-0 not to recommend, and the Community and Economic Development voted 3-0 not to recommend at their joint meeting, and this was back in November of, November 5th of 2025. So that being said, this can be referred to advertising, or I guess a question for our town council, do we have to refer to advertising, or we can, if it's the will of the council to not bring this forward further, can we just kind of leave it here?
So in your normal course, you should refer to advertising unless it's going to be withdrawn, or there's going to be some sort of vote to potentially table it. Otherwise, it should go through the process. If you do not vote it to advertising, I assume it stays and it continues on your agenda over and over again. So I think the best bet is probably to continue it through the process and then vote it however you feel like you want to vote it.
Question, I'm just not remembering who was the sponsor.
Councilor Hunt was.
Okay.
And can I just say, why are we waiting this long? Why has it taken this long?
That I'm not sure, but this was brought up back in November, so I'm not sure why
Yeah.
it took this long to get here. But here we are. So like you said, we can withdraw it, we could table it, or we could refer to advertising.
Yeah, the sponsor could make a motion to withdraw, and then you could vote the motion to withdraw.
That's up to the
It's no
sponsor.
pressure. I only asked because the planning board and CED voted unanimously not to recommend.
Right,
So
right.
it's up to you.
I hear that, and I'm trying to remember exactly why I put it in. I know it was at the request of a citizen. And I feel like
I remember, Ms. Hunt, you wanted to change the 20% to the 40% of open space on the very
okay.
top one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so were the other people who voted on it aware of that?
They were, but they said because of where it was located, that they're near the center of the town, so they would be able to walk to stores and parks, where the other one was further away from town, so they gave them more open space. And I think you were concerned about wetlands or something, that some of the open space were wetlands, and that you had that joint meeting, and I think they clarified that, didn't they?
Who's on CED with you, Mark?
Sonia,
Just the two of us, and we didn't have a CED meeting about it.
You had that joint meeting,
we did.
yeah.
Yeah, it was back on November 5th.
Point of order, Mr.
It was
President.
unanimously voted no.
Sean.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Yes.
Just for some information, I did review this today, and in the collaboration meeting, the discussion focused mostly around this being a specific problem due to like drainage fields and things like that being considered open space for as well, even though it's not usable space, as we would all assume an open space would be used for that population. So during the meeting, the discussion around was maybe future zoning changes in collaboration with CED and Planning Board to kind of solidify some other options here as opposed to this particular one. That was my understanding of that conversation, and I reviewed that earlier today.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I do remember listening to that meeting now, and that makes sense. So it was to essentially not move forward with this ordinance, but do something different, which would establish that open space may be more specifically designated that it's usable space.
Okay.
Do you want to keep it or withdraw?
It sounds like that should be withdrawn and redone and reprocessed.
Yeah.
So I think I will move to do that.
Okay.
I'll second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion?
Second?
Thank you. And we'll roll call, please.
Ms. Ellenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Lindy,
Yes.
Ms. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Loretti,
Yes.
Ms. McGrath,
Yes.
and Mr. Kennedy.
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay. So now we have, we don't have any old business or new business. We have citizen comments. Due to Massachusetts open meeting law requirements, discussions will not take place during public comment periods. If appropriate, responses to questions and concerns will be given by the town manager at a future town council meeting. Anyone may comment at this time for up to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Is it green, Janet?
Now
Yeah,
it's green.
on.
Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street. As far as the Route 104 study, I thought there would be a little more information tonight, but I guess it's a little bit more in the works. But I was just wondering, will the residents, particularly those that live on 104, will we be able to see that study? I'd like to know what that study ends up coming as, and because I am concerned at some of the things that might be recommended. But as a resident that lives on Route 104, I would like to see that report. So I'm assuming that residents will be able to see it at some point. And the other kind of question I just had as a curiosity, the science person in me, before we hook up to Middleborough Water, was Middleborough Water tested and just know what their PFAS results were before they connected and mixed in with ours? Was that done? Because it would have been interesting to know, okay, what their water is, and we know what our water was, and then tested our water after the mix. I was just curious if it's same, worse, better, when you dilute. So it would be interesting if we could have that information. That'd be great to know what Middleborough's water is, what our water is, and then what it is when you mix them together. I was just curious on that. And I thank you, Justin, Town Manager, for the information on the website. Any new website, there's always bugs to work out beforehand, so I appreciate their response. So I'll be looking for that when IT finally gets the bugs taken out, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steph D'Amelia, Harvest Lane. I usually come up, talk about water, which I will be. I just wanted to thank Mr. Rollins for showing how important the zoning board, planning board, and conservation boards are. That was a great explanation, and I think it opens a lot of people's eyes to the importance of getting the right people in those seats. So that was really nice to hear. The water issues, so we have 9 wells, and I'm pretty sure I'm accurate on that. And then we took off wells 10A and 10B for a while before we got Middleborough hooked on, leaving 7 wells pushing water to our town. Those wells were working overtime. I'm going to use the word, but it's probably the wrong word, but they were being abused. The help that from Middleborough was great at 250,000 gallons per day, but that's for 90 days, and we're starting to get to the halfway point, well, not quite, but almost there. So to turn wells 10A and 10B on, we talked about, in this room, we talked about looking into trailers, and at the time, the trailers were non-PFAS filtering, and they were at 100,000 per month each. So there must be an added cost per trailer to add PFAS filtration, and we never heard that number. I don't know if you have it, and I don't know if you can answer that or not. I'm assuming it's going to be more than the $100,000 per trailer per month. And we are talking 2 trailers. There was one conversation that we were talking about 1 trailer. But now I'm hearing 2 with PFAS, so I'm guessing it's going to be more than $200,000 a month. Not sure where that money's going to come from. I know there was a talk about 3 new projects bringing in 1.1 million. That could pay for the trailers, I guess, the 2 trailers, if we do the math. I'm not a mathematician, but that's kind of how I figured it. Also, wells, the 7 wells I spoke of, will they be getting trailers too, or no? I'm just, no need. I know there's some of the numbers are showing that the PFAS levels are climbing at some point. So the east, and I'm really happy that 10A and 10B are getting the attention they deserve. It's very well needed, but there are 7 other wells that potentially, especially because they were being pushed to the limits, may need trailers as well. I don't know that for fact. I'm just putting it out there. So the west side might need some trailers too in the future. We talked about, Mr. Davis talked about outsourcing new water sources. Would that mean that we would just abandon the 9 wells and just take on the new, what did he say, 100 million gallons a day, I think it was? I'm sure if there'll be a significant cost of bringing on 1 million gallons a day. So there'll be the need to maintain the 7 wells that were being pushed hard. There will be money needed for that. I don't know where that money will come from. So the water issues is getting bounced around. We are making progress, and I see how everybody's working real hard, and it's nice to see. But at the end of the day, we're really not figuring out exactly how we're going to take care of our infrastructure. And the ability to have our own water permanently without outsourcing it and without renting, buying it from Middleborough or Brockton or Taunton or whatever. So I think it's important to not lose focus on our water mains, our towers, our wells, instead of just trying to find outsources. Outsources are great, but we still have infrastructure problems. And I'll leave it with one more thing. I saw on the internet, on social media, Not a lot, but there are some elderly that need help with water from the blue box thing.
Blue Drop.
Blue Drop, I'm sorry. Maybe we can put something together to try to help them people that can't get out in the cold weather, the snowy days and stuff. I'd offer to help, and I'm more than happy to help, but maybe, we can figure out a way to let them chime in and get them some clean water.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all for all your time and work, and thank you guys as well.
Thanks, Steph. And it's not an immediate solution, but our town manager is looking into having a second machine installed somewhere in town. It's an ongoing thing, but it's hopefully in the near future. Excellent. Yeah.
Carlton Hunt, 80 Austin Street. I've been very interested in this concept of an environmental committee. By my count, we have several environmental committees. They focus on specific aspects of the environment. Energy, tree, Concom, Open Space Committee, and the CPA. We've got 5 committees that deal with environmental issues. So the question I have is, if we go down that road, what is the goal, what is the charge to that committee? Should we not consider making, if we have to have another committee, should we not use those committees that are already appointed to come to one master environmental committee? Because I don't know, I'm an environmental scientist. I don't know if we're trying to deal with chemical issues, biological issues, invasive species, sea level rise, CO2, methane gas. What is the charge to that committee if we do that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'll be quick. I know it's late. Bob Cormier, Grange Park. A lot of good discussion today about the permitting process and obviously water capacity and how that ties in. Speaking as a citizen here who's probably the most educated and familiar with our current zoning ordinance, for better or for worse, I think a lot of you in this room, both behind me and on this council, will be very surprised at what my opinions are and where I stand on water capacity. Our zoning, the way it's written today, the MBTA Communities Act, needs a lot of work. I don't think anybody was going to get it right the first time, but we'll save that for another night. What I do want to mention is I agree with almost all of the comments that were said about the process of evaluating our infrastructure during the permitting process. The problem is, and I challenge you, and I'm happy to help in any capacity I can, you have to put pen to paper. It is not in the administrative code, it's not in our zoning ordinance that a water impact study is required. I know that term is thrown around. It should be the cover page in pre-construction meetings before you apply to get in front of the planning board on whether or not we have the capacity to even look at your project. That precedent needs to be set immediately, and we can say it all we want in these meetings. It has to be written down so that when outside developers, local developers look at a potential project, they know that that's part of the process and it's their cover letter. Because what we can't do is have somebody spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to develop a plan to get to a point where it can get in front of those boards to only find out we don't have water capacity. That's honestly putting our town at risk for litigation. So just think about that. It's not a difficult thing. I don't want to give you the language, but it could essentially be a 2D preliminary plan with basic floor plans and have a pre-application review and have some language in there that says so long as the project capacity doesn't increase by more than 10% or something along those lines. So there's guardrails where if somebody's going to invest in trying to develop a project, they know up front. And frankly, we should make it very difficult in perpetuity to be able to do that. So anyway, thanks.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up and speak? Okay, thank you very much. We'll now move into council comments. We can start with our councilors on Zoom. I don't know if Councilor Kennedy or actually who's first? Councilor Kennedy is in the first seat. Are you still with us, Sean?
Yeah, I'm still with you. Thank you guys for being there tonight. Some great discussion. Thank you for the public for being there, as well as our town manager and all the employees that were able to offer a lot of information for both us and the public. I apologize for being there again. I had the flu going through my house, so it's been a little rough, but it was great tonight. So thank you all. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Councilor Ellenberg.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who showed up to the meeting and made citizen comments. I wanted to say that I agree with the idea of our town being independent in its water supply, for whatever it's worth. Lastly, I'd just like to reiterate that we are looking for volunteers for our town boards and commissions and so forth. And interested citizens are always welcome. That's all.
Thank you. Vice President McGrath?
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have anything to say tonight.
No, nothing? All right. Councilor Murphy?
Same, I've said enough, thank you.
Councilor Hunt?
Well, I have something to say. I had actually written a rather long thing about boards, committees, and commissions and was planning on handing out some notes so that people knew which boards and committees and commissions were there, what they did. I'm not going to read it all because probably everybody in here knows what it is, but I want to say that I will read my last little bit. We should respect the hard work of our boards, committees, and commission volunteers and our town employees. I would never forget them. Both the people and their work are important in both areas. Thus, I suggest attending board, committee, and commission meetings. There are many. Listen to the work being done. Offer a suggestion if you have sufficient knowledge for the issues that are being discussed. Meet somebody new. Treat matters thoughtfully and be kind. You can find information on all the meetings at the Town of Bridgewater website, and I'm sure attention will be appreciated. So I say that evidently for us here, but I'm hoping it's still going to go out there to more people who are listening. Pay attention. Our boards, committees, and commissions are very, very important and need good, substantive folks on them. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Lindy?
I'm not going to repeat what others have said, but I agree with everything so far. I did want to, even though you said it, Council President, already, I do want to thank Councilor Sonia Striggles for her service and all of her attention to detail and stuff. I personally think she made a wonderful decision for herself and her family and her future, and she will be missed. I did want to wish our missing counselor a happy birthday, Dr. Perry.
Yes.
That's where he is today, and I don't think anyone should have to work on their birthday, so just saying. Is it? Okay. We should get him a cake and a fire extinguisher for the next meeting. I do want to express some concerns about our meeting tomorrow night. It's going to be at a different location where there is not multiple cameras and multiple audio. I think it's not a good idea. We'll see how it goes, but I have heard from constituents that they want to hear the meetings. They want to see the meetings. When you have one camera, I did cable coverage for 37 years and got critiqued on it every single time we did it. When you have a whole facility that has multi-cameras and audio and staffing, that's what you should use. I'm sorry the choice was made to do it someplace else. The website looks good. I keep getting 404 pages, so my question is, do I report that to IT? Do I report a problem with the website to IT?
I would. You can send it to me.
Send it to you? Okay. Because I've had a hard time with it. But it looks good overall, and I do want to thank everybody that's here. And since we're asking for boards, committees, and commissions, you already asked for it, but let's get another counselor. Okay, I think it's important, especially on a district level, to have a counselor. People forget they have 7 counselors that represent them. They have a district counselor, and they have 6 at large. I just think it's important, and the work needs to be done, plus an even number can be tough. We don't have votes that close, but every once in a while we do. So, thank you.
Thank you. And unfortunately, we are not hosts of the meeting tomorrow night. I did advocate to have it here, and it was decided to have it elsewhere. I did my best to advocate for us. I would prefer to have it here, So just a little note on that. And I'm just going to repeat what I said earlier. Thank you, Councilor Striggles, for your service. And we look forward to applicants, and we'll hopefully decide to fill that seat. If you are interested in running for that seat, again, that's a District 1 seat, precincts 1, 2, and 7. Please go ahead and you could pull papers with the town clerk's office. You also pull papers for the 2 at-large seats, and we have another district seat that is up as well. So if anybody is interested in running, we look forward to you doing that. And again, with our boards, committees, and commissions, we need some great people. So please get involved and please serve your community, because we need more good people here. And that's all that I have for tonight. So I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Oh yeah, we roll call.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Loretti?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Lundy.
Yes.
And Ms. Ellenberg?
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Oh, you need a signature.